Yeah, one time I was working in the GP's office, and I was as a locum GP at that stage, because I was a full-time GP when I started leading the church. So we've always had this reality in our church of, medicine and healing, both gifts from God. But as the church grew, I needed to give more time to it, so I ended up leaving my partnership in general practice and worked as a locum GP. And and that means you're not in that particular place of work all the time. So some of the patients know you, some don't.
Yes.
So I was doing this morning session, and it was a patient I'd never seen him before. As far as I was aware, he didn't know me. But when he walked in, it was very obvious what the problem it was. He had this huge lump on his neck, which was didn't have to look for it; it was there. And he came in. He said, "I've got this lump on my neck," and thought, yeah. You certainly have. And I examined it, and it was, to me, immediately obvious this was cancer, and probably quite advanced to get that big. It was really solid, craggy. It was attached to underlying tissues. It looked invasive. It felt nasty. And if you've got any medical experience of any length, and I've got a lot, and that's that. It was no doubt in my mind. Now, I didn't tell him that. Because obviously that needs to be confirmed by biopsies and stuff like that, and it's not it's not the moment to suddenly say this is what you've got. But I was convinced, and I thought, right, well, we need to refer you to hospital. So I said to him, okay, well, that needs to be looked at hospital. And he said, okay, doc, that's fine. I said, they'll do some tests and we'll find out what it is. Okay. And he said, oh, okay. And so I said, actually, we can do that. I can do an online booking right here and now. So I started to do that, and while I was doing that, we were conversing, and he said to me, "Oh, hi, Doc. Well, where do you normally work? Because I haven't seen you before." And so I said, "Oh, well, are you really interested in that?" And he said, "Well, actually, yeah, I am." I said, "Well, I do some of what my work is as a doctor in medicine, but actually I've got another part of my life, and basically that part of my life is that I travel around the world teaching people about Jesus and doing miracles."
So that's a really good job description.
Yeah, I love it. That's my job description. I go travel around the world teaching people about Jesus and doing miracles. I said, just like Jesus did. He said, "So have you got some miracle stories?" I said, "Yeah, I've got some stories." He said, "Could you tell me some?" Now this is the process of informed consent. He's actually he's inviting. He's asking for more, which is that's the right medical practice. That this is informed consent. So I told him some stories, and he said, "Well, that's amazing. I've never heard that stuff like that." He said, So do you think you could do a miracle for me? And I said, sure. And now that's the bit that probably surprises most people in this story, that I would actually say, sure, I can do a miracle. But that's because I'm confident in who God is inside me. And that's true. Like those people who came to your church, they were confident.
They were.
In God at work in them and through them.
Absolutely.
So back to the story. I said, look, if you'd allow me to, I'd like to pray for you. Won't take long, and I'd just like to lay my hand on your shoulder if that's okay, because the Bible talks about laying hands on. And he said, yeah, sure, fine, that's all right, Doc. So, and don't get religious at that mode. It's normal. We're just conversing. So I lay my hand on his shoulder. I pray quite naturally, just looking, face to face like we are now. Didn't screw my eyes up. Didn't try and get intense, because that doesn't work. That doesn't help. But, he's not going to get healed by my big effort. He's going to get healed by the power of God. And I prayed for him, 10 seconds, and then I said, and we'll see what happens, shall we? And that was it, because I have to leave that open. And I also gave him the referral to hospital, because that's an important part of the process. That's my medical responsibility. So I said, and he went off. Now, I wasn't back there for a while, and I didn't keep track of his story, because it's not always easy for me to keep track of all these things in different places. But I was back there a few months later, and I was just doing another session, and this lady, can't remember what was wrong with her, came to the end of our consultation. She said, "Oh, by the way, doctor, you saw my husband 4 months ago," which was a bit non-specific. So I said, "Oh, okay, that's nice." And she said, he was the guy that had the lump in the neck, and you prayed for him." I said, "Oh, yeah, I remember him." And she said, he wanted me to tell you that when he got to the hospital, there was no lump.
Wow.
And he's completely clear.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
It is incredible, and it's a powerful example of the freedom of knowing who you are, knowing your identity, and being confident in the assessment of heaven and how God views you.